Hey guys, welcome back to another video in the r/EntitledPeople subreddit. Today I have 2 Entitled People stories for you and 1 update. The first story involves a crotchety lunch lady that nearly kills a diabetic student, and the second involves an overweight Karen that calls a cashier lazy for passing out from heat exhaustion. Some people really are out of their damn minds, aren't they? But without further ado, let's jump into the Reddit stories. My lunch lady kept me from getting the correct meal after taking insulin. I'm a 16-year-old guy. I'm pretty normal. I play video games, hang out with friends, have a good job, all that. The only abnormal thing about me is that I have type 1 diabetes. I have been diagnosed for about a bit more than a year and a half. I've kept good control over it, and the doctors are always very impressed when I have a checkup. Bragging aside, I'm a junior in a pretty small high school in the middle of Kansas. One of the things I do is I take insulin 10 to 15 minutes before I eat, so it has time to get into effect. With the school lunch, there are 2 options, a chicken salad and a cheeseburger. I decided to go with the cheeseburger. I take my insulin and go up the line. There are 2 separate tables, each with 2 white to-go boxes with food in them. I grab a box from the left table, and before I take 2 steps, my friend points out to me that that's the salad. I set the box back down and go to grab the other box, but the lunch lady shouts at me, "Hey, don't you dare!" I look at her and she looks at me like I just slapped a puppy in the face. I ask what's wrong and she said that I already grabbed the salad, so I have to take the salad. Note, I didn't even open the box. I explained to her that I'm a diabetic and already took insulin. She shakes her head and says in a sickly sweet tone, "I'm sorry, that's not my problem. Take the salad and go sit down now." I tried once more to tell her the situation, but she just pointed at the salad table and tells me to take the salad or I don't get anything. I'm a little pissed at this point, so I take the salad and go off to my table with my friends and tell them the situation. They removed the vending machines in the cafeteria over the summer, so there was no way for me to get the correct amount of carbs without stealing another kid's cheeseburger. One of my friends tells me I should go get the principal quickly before the insulin fully sets in. I go to the office and tell him and the counselor the situation, a little panicked because it had been well over 10 minutes since I took insulin. I'm very tight with the principal, so he walked me back up to the cafeteria and talked to the lunch lady. He tells her, "Lunch lady, give him the cheeseburger. He really needs it." She responds to him saying, "But he already took the salad. He can deal with it." Principal just sighs, grabs the cheeseburger box and shoved it into my hands and tells me to go sit down. I listen to him and walk back to the table. I sit relatively close to the lunch line, so I and my friends can barely hear the principal talk to her. "How you acted was truly out of line. I thought you understood to treat his and other diabetic kids' situations with care and understanding." He went on for another minute and ended up just telling her off and heading back to his office, and I ate in peace. I'm glad that she got told off, and maybe she'll know better next time. What is it with lunch ladies and being total biatches? Every cafeteria lady I remember having in school always resembled Miss Finster from the show Recess. What this lunch lady did though is totally unacceptable. OP could have suffered serious health problems, if not a diabetic coma resulting in possible death for what she did. Not to mention the woman works with food and with kids in a school. You would think that she'd be trained enough to know that kids are gonna have allergies, intolerances, and special dietary needs. Thank God the principal swooped in and helped. As far as I'm concerned, that woman should be fired, if not more. Anyways, OP did post a small update, so let's read it, shall we? So the next day after all this happened, I was walking to my final class of the day. My principal was walking by me and grabbed my shirt. He was on the phone at the time and gestured me to follow him, which I did. We walked into his office and he hung up the phone and says to me, "So you know I had your back yesterday, right?" To which I responded, "Yes, sir, I do." He sat down and said, "Well, the lunch lady came up to me after school and told me that after throwing all your trash away, you and your friends walked up to her and started mocking her. So she she had told him that me and my friends were saying stuff like, haha, I got my cheeseburger, to her face. This was a blatant lie, and I told him as much. I even told him which friends I was with after he asked. He nodded and said that's what he thought, and said he'll be handling the lunch lady. He sent me back to class, and that was it. Yeah, that lady definitely needs to be fired. Karen calls me lazy for not serving her because I passed out. So I was around 18 and working in a public library. It was a pretty hot day and the building was old, so air conditioning wasn't a thing. Anyways, so I'm serving a regular, Karen, who was a very overweight, in her late 70s, unpleasant woman who had a tendency to believe her age, forgave a lack of manners, would comment on everything from the color of your skin to the size of your tatas. This particular day, she was sat on her portable chair, one of those that she keeps in her old lady trolley and whips out the second she has to stand. As I'm serving her and her huge bag of items, I start to hear my heartbeat in my ears, and her droning voice starts to sound like it's underwater. My tongue feels too big for my mouth, and my vision starts to go dark, so desperately I say to her in a massively sluggish voice that I think I need to sit down. Karen demands that I continue serving her as she hasn't got all day. My manager is serving a customer next to me, and I desperately throw my arm out at her to get her attention, and luckily, despite being a very petite woman, catches my lanky butt self before I hit the deck. I start to come to find my manager serving her customer, another member of staff serving my Karen, and another member of staff with my head in her lap as she tries to rouse me. I shut my eyes as the lights are too bright to hear Karen talking loudly about how lazy the youth of today are, how clearly lazy I am using any excuse to get out of hard work, how I'm clearly just not built for a working environment, and how good customer service was so hard to find. Didn't ask how I was or anything, just continued to moan about my performance, and how in her day, they wouldn't let a little thing like heat stop them. I got up from the floor and tried to take over serving from my colleague when my manager told me to go and get a drink and take a moment as I have nothing to prove and that my well-being is more important than any customer's opinion, regardless of how loud and obnoxiously they voice them. Karen just sat there on her chair, chins flapping without a response. Wow. I want to say so much about this Karen, but I'll refrain a bit and just say that the woman can't even bring herself to stand for 5 minutes, but when someone passes out in front of her from heat exhaustion, she has the audacity to call them lazy? Okay. Even just reading this story years after it happened, I want to ask OP how they are and if they're okay. But anyways, that is all from me today. I hope you enjoyed those 2 entitled people stories. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I truly appreciate when you do, and I will see you in the next Reddit stories. Bye!